this is a topic that it's obviously so hard to talk about, but it is one that more and more details do need to come out about everyone else, right? Because there is a board that knew about this, right? That's one thing that we know for sure, that there is a board that runs WWE that knew about this. There is the Stephanie McMahon resigning and leaving aspect of this. There's the Linda McMahon finding out, so that's why it ended aspect of this. There is
Do you want me
a
to go
lot.
through the timeline?
Yeah, go through the timeline.
Yeah. So like I said, I put together, as far as I could tell, a timeline of events. These are events, a mixture of facts and part of, facts that have happened that we know about, mixture in with a little bit of the allegations. But for the most part, these are facts about what WWE has done or regarding this investigation within WWE about Vince, and what the suit claims things have happened. These are all through various Wall Street Journal articles, BBC articles, CNN articles, CBS, yada, yada, yada. I've tried to correlate as much as possible. So according to the suit, January 2022 is when Linda McMahon finds out about the affair, forces Vince to fire Grant, have her sign an NDA, and pay her $3 million. February of 2022, Vince pays her $1 million and promises to pay the other $2 million over the course of 5 years. He never does. He says that he's going to give her $500,000 over the next 5 years or so. He never does. Also should note that $1 million is the money that Vince originally wanted to give her. She argued it up to $3 million, and then he agreed to that. He ended up just giving her $1 million, the money that he only wanted to give her. I think that's a point that should be said, according to facts of the suit. March 30th of 2022, a moment that's referenced, and I feel like this is a moment that people are kind of glossing over as well. March 30th of 2022, the WWE board, including Vince McMahon, Nick Khan, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and others, receive an email from someone, I'm going to presume Miss Grant or someone else close to her, maybe her lawyer. I'm going to potentially presume lawyer as well, about allegations towards Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis, possibly others, and about a $3 million hush money payout. I feel like this might just be me connecting facts here, but you have one person who is promised a $3 million payout, does not get it. Her next payment in February, and that she was promised. She emails the board about it. The board, that's my presumption here, is that she emails the board about this. The board, of course, being Vince McMahon, Nick Khan, Paul Levesque, and Stephanie McMahon, along with others. And also note, Vince's attorney, after receiving this email, calls Grant's attorney about this. This is stated in the suit. This is what makes me think the email specifically is from Grant or someone else close to her, presumably her lawyer.
Representing her.
Again, the people of the WWE board, March 30th in 2022, presumably, as far as I can piece together, received an email about the allegations towards Vince, John Laurinaitis, and about her $3 million payout. April 2022, the WWE board hires Simpson Thatcher and Bartlett LLC, a independent investigative company, and quietly investigates. And I should note, quietly investigates these allegations, unearthing more allegations from more women who previously worked in WWE. And by what I mean by that is they at least unlock, quote unquote, 4 more NDAs. They at least find that in that next Wall Street Journal article, we find that there was at least 4 more NDAs. So during this quiet investigation, they find that there are more money spent on more women, basically.
Mm-hmm.
May 2022, Stephanie McMahon takes a, quote, leave of absence from WWE to, quote, focus on her family. So a month, roughly 2 months after getting an email on the board about her father's and co-workers' allegations and this payout, and then a month of an investigation that finds more money paid toward more women via WWE's funds and more allegations, Stephanie McMahon takes a leave of absence from WWE. Is it related? Is she just focusing on her family? Or is it because she was hearing about what was happening?
Right.
Or was maybe she was doing something? Let's not forget, she takes a leave of absence. And Scotty, a little quiz. What was WWE's reaction to Stephanie McMahon leaving and taking a leave of absence?
Didn't they like bury her?
Exactly right. They buried her essentially via the media.
I forgot which outlet they did that through, but
I don't remember either, but I do remember the article of saying how bad her job she was.
Yeah.
And I believe Nick Khan essentially takes up her role.
And obviously at the time we don't know this aspect.
Yes, again, this is May. The investigations are happening. We don't know about them.
Right.
We know nothing about any of the investigations. She just takes a leave of absence. She leaves the company. Everyone's like, "Well, that's weird."
Yeah.
June 2022, the first Wall Street Journal article goes live claiming Vince paid a woman $3 million as hush money. 2 days later, Vince, quote unquote, steps down from the board. Stephanie McMahon returns and is named interim CEO. The investigation into Vince and John's allegations either becomes public or they open up a second investigation. And I think that's also a key point here is they said that they are going to start an investigation. I am unsure if this was a second investigation into this or the already investigation that was happening since April. That I'm unpositive about.
Yep.
July 2022, a second Wall Street Journal article goes live touting that Vince paid more than $12 million of WB funds to 4 other women to hide various allegations. Vince, quote unquote, retires roughly 2 weeks later. Remember how long it took for the stuff to come out and then 2 weeks go by and then Vince steps down?
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie and Nick Khan become co-CEOs. And then just randomly, Brock Lesnar walks out of the company.
Yeah.
Remember that? Remember that whole ordeal?
His protector, his father figure left.
Yes,
he has called him a father figure on a podcast. So that is
so many people have called Vince.
No, this is also true. But I remember him saying it deliberately on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah. So again, Vince retires. That's the quote unquote here, because he still has all the power in WWE. November 2022, a couple months go by. WWE's investigation into Vince is concluded. John Laurinaitis is fired a little bit earlier, and WWE pays various amounts of money for various issues for filing and whatnot. Vince ultimately promises, we find out later in a quarter, I believe the year-end report, financial report, that Vince is paying it back to WWE, all the money that he basically took from WWE for these hush monies. Now this is another weird point. According to Miss Grant in the lawsuit, she was never talked to about, if I'm not mistaken, never talked to about this, or at the very least never provided evidence to this investigation. There is a former board member, I forget his first name, but his last name is Speed. That was a board member at the time when they received the email on March 30th of 2022. So he knows about this, was around for the investigations, everything, said that they did talk to her. So that's a little mucky of information, one side versus the other. Not entirely positive what happened there, but one side says they did talk to her. Another side says, you didn't talk to me. I didn't give any evidence for this investigation. Again, I don't know. That's another point of like, I don't know if it was a second investigation or the first investigation. You know, maybe they talked to her about the first investigation and not the second. I don't know. January 6th, 2023, WWE publishes a SEC filing saying Vince, George Barrios, and Michelle Wilson are back on the board. We all remember this. Basically, Vince, because he still had all the power in the company, was able to put him, George Barrios, and Michelle Wilson, the former CEOs of WWE that started the network, back on the board. January 10th, Vince is unanimously elected from the board to become the executive chairman once again. Stephanie McMahon steps down to, quote, focus on her family. That is as much of a timeline I could put together from the various articles and everything. Scotty, what is sort of your reaction? I think this is the best facts timeline I can find to put together about WWE's cover-up, quote unquote, the allegations of WWE's cover-up. This is all the facts that kind of we know about regarding Miss Grant. What is sort of your reaction, and how do you feel like WWE's involvement in this is?
There's a few things that now make sense. That's kind of my takeaway from this. The Stephanie McMahon aspect of this obviously makes sense, and she obviously probably knows or knew a lot by the time she was leaving for a second time. Obviously, she probably knew once her mother found out, and so on and so forth. And then there's the aspect of Vince coming back that I think is not interesting but important. He, along with maybe the rest of the WWE board, knew that there's always the possibility that more comes out from all this. And if they don't sell their company, it could absolutely bury the company.
Yeah, remember that part of the argument that people made about Vince coming back into the company.
Vince made, not people, Vince.
Was that he is a requirement to sell the company, and that he plans to sell the company. Why? Yep. I wonder why he plans to sell the company.
Because if WWE right now is not part of TKO, they would be in serious, serious trouble. They're still in serious trouble, but like the company as a whole would be in a lot more trouble in terms of where are they going to be in the next few months, as opposed, like, we know WWE is still going to be kicking in months down the line and so on and so forth. But there is a reality where Vince McMahon seemingly is not. No one in his family likes this man. No one at work likes this man. And the unanimous vote.
Before you say that, I just want to say that there was a report from, I believe, Wade Keller of PW Insider that mentioned that Vince apparently has not had any contact with his family and has not had any contact with his grandkids at all during the past couple of years. That he has essentially, I believe Wade said something about how like he basically spent Thanksgiving, Christmas alone. So there's that aspect.
Good.
Continue about the unanimous vote.
Rot by yourself, pal. The unanimous vote. Obviously, people voting him back in is a terrible thing. The problem is, I'm pretty sure he was getting back in, even if they didn't give him a vote. This guy, I don't.
We said at the time that the unanimous vote didn't matter because Vince just basically, if Vince is on the board, if he says he had the majority of the voting power,
he's in.
Yes,
so,
the unanimous vote is arbitrary. It's just if Vince wants back in, he's in.
I think it was Meltzer that talked about this. It's like it was gonna happen either way, so it was kind of like this united front of just like, okay, we take this one on the chin and so forth. I'm not saying I'm not letting the board off the hook in any way, shape, or form here. That is not what I'm saying, because the reality is that a lot of them knew this way before any of this. So I'm not letting them off the board. I'm just bringing up that unanimous vote. But ultimately, this is a systematic problem in WWE, and a lot of people need to either be removed or speak about it. And the first chance that someone had to do that was last night after the Royal Rumble. And that was none other than Triple H, Paul Levesque, who couldn't have answered those questions worse if he tried.